All right. Well, welcome back, everybody. We're here for another conversation related to our premier live virtual and hybrid event service. So we have a conversation topic today for you on the virtual hybrid environment. And if this is the first one you've ever tuned into, my name is Ken Kahn. I am the Director of Partnerships and Collaboration here at i2i Technologies. And as always, I'm with my friend and colleague.
I'm Roxanne Glauser. I'm Director of Marketing Learning at i2i Technologies. And as Ken mentioned today, our chat is going to be around the virtual and hybrid environment. So typically, we think of the three components in a virtual conference environment. We think of the conference website, the conference app, and the video platform. So each of these serves a specific purpose and are needed on some level. Our conversation today is going to focus in on which component you think is most critical and why.
Yeah, and I think, those are the three components. I would almost say elements too, because sometimes you can have a platform that maybe incorporates all three of these elements together, or maybe two of them together. Because I know there's some, I guess for lack of a better description, there are some like conference apps that maybe have like a website component to it, or they have like built-in video components to it, video platform components to it. So I could see somebody being like, oh, I just use this one thing and it does all those things. But I think you need all three of those elements or components, or however you want to label them, because you got your conference website, which is kind of your outward promotion of the event. It could just be as simple as maybe it doesn't need to be as elaborate as a website. Maybe it could just be some kind of a landing page somewhere where people can get all the information about your event. Then when we talk about the conference app, we're talking more about that's where people go for your event, if it's virtual or if it's hybrid, like the people that are online, they go there to get any of the information that they need about the event. And then you got your video platform piece, where that's where the event is actually, the sessions are actually taking place, right? So that's why I think in this question, it's like you need each one of those components. So you can't say, oh, if I had just this thing, I wouldn't need it's like you need all three of those components in some form or fashion, but it's like, which one's the most critical? So that's the, which one's most critical? Yeah, it's like, I think you can make an argument for any one of these. I would have to say, I'm going to have to go video platform, I think, is the most critical, because I feel like if your video platform is poor, it could ruin your whole event. So it's like, even if you marketed it well, you had all the outward information, people are like, oh, this event looks so cool. They register for it, they come to it, they get into the conference aspect of oh, this is so great. There's so much interactivity. And then they go to the session and they're like, audio doesn't match up with the video, or it's choppy, or, it's like, how do I even how do I chat? So I think I'm going to have to go video platform, because it could really crumble. And I feel like there's lots of other little things you might be able to do to compensate for the website and the conference app. But if the video platform is poo-poo, that's going to be a bad event.
Granted, yeah, there are a lot of platforms and products out there that will integrate with some of the larger video conferencing platforms. I'm thinking a lot of them will integrate with Zoom. But part of what, we discovered in working with it is that sometimes the integration is not the same thing as just the standalone, because that video platform is so important, and that the quality needs to be high quality, that to make sure you test it, because and sometimes, like I said, that integration, you don't get the same quality, and that is very important.
And I almost went with conference app, because And we've had this experience, like we've worked with some different conference apps and some of the things that we've done. And we worked with one, and it, like, we spent so much time supporting people on getting into this conference app that it was like, when I go back and look at all the things that we had, like we had like a 10 like do these 10 steps. Oh, and then there's sometimes like, oh, if you get to this step and this doesn't work, you know what, go look at these. So like, it was just crazy what we had to come up with to try to get people into this app. And so that was tough. So it's like, if the conference, if you can't even get people into the conference to be able to access the information, to access the video platform, it's like, that was, once it was like, the thing with that was, once we got over the hurdle of like that first day, that first wave, like maybe the first 2 hours or so of the event, and we finally got everybody in, then it was golden all the way through. Where if your video platform is not good, I mean, that goes on the entire conference, right? So it's like that bad taste never gets washed out of their mouth. So the conference app is a close second. Like, it's like, you want to have that seamless entry point, and that, you want people to feel comfortable. And, like you mentioned, we always want the technology to go in the background of people to be able to focus on, like, why do they go to the conference? It's typically, to learn, to get information, to share information, to network. It's like, you want people to be able to organically do that in a virtual environment, or a hybrid environment as well. So the conference app was a close. Coming into this, I was like, I think I'm going to have to go conference. And then it's like, when it came right down to it, I'm like, video platform has to be.
As you were going through, I was like, I do remember that that event. Yes, that was kind of brutal. But the other part, like, still coming back to, get them in there. I'm still coming back to that video platform. Another part of when you make that choice, I know a lot of the events we've worked with, once people realize what the video platform is and that it is something they're familiar with, that just you can visibly see their stress level come down. And then, a couple of the ones that we've worked with, a couple of our partnerships, we've also made the decision or worked with them to give full access to presenters so that they can do what they need to do once they get in there. And I think that's another way to have a really good virtual event where you can have access to all of the tools, so that if you want to run the breakout sessions or have those types of things, and have it in an authentic way, not in kind of a forced fake way. Because I know there have also been some conference apps that I've used in attending conferences, but where instead of just like going into the room, they're trying to force you into, like, your avatar had to walk to find. I know we joke about the one where if you need technical assistance, you have to find your avatar and make it virtually walk down the hallway to find the person to help you. And we're like, no, I think it should be the minimal amount of technology to create an effective connecting and learning experience.
Yeah, I was going to add on to this that, another thing that we do that, I think sometimes we overlook it because it's just natural for us, but it's like, we really look at these resources, like we look at these, these three components, right? What are we using as a conference website? What are we using as a conference app, video platform? And how can we set these things up so it's smooth and seamless for the end user too? So like, we've had people who have said, oh, we've used that same conference app at other conferences, and we were completely confused at the conference. But when we came to the conference that you guys were involved with, like, it all made sense and everything connected together, and we understood what we were supposed to do. And so that is another thing that we do in our, we already did the planning conversation, but it's like, that's a lot of the stuff that we're doing leading up in the background is like looking at like, oh, what are the settings on this video platform? How can we set this up to, give the presenters all the power that they could possibly need, but don't overwhelm the presenters that are like, hey, we just want to connect into the room and show our PowerPoint. We don't want to touch or do anything else. And so, we really do take a lot of time and effort into like, how can we skin this? How can we make this look? How can we provide the proper support and guidance? So again, people can focus on what they want to do at this conference and not have to learn a conference app and learn a video platform. All right, so I think that probably wraps us up for this conversation. So like I said, this was our third one. We have at least 3 more coming up. And I think our next one is, on engagement and interactivity. I think that's the next one in the series that we have coming up after this one. So stay tuned for that. It'll be a whole new interesting question. You might already be thinking like, what could Ken possibly say about interactivity and engagement? I mean, will it have something to do with listening? One of his favorite things, possibly. I didn't get to weave listening into this one. We had a conversation before and Roxanne said, do not say anything about listening in reference to a virtual hybrid environment, please.
Okay, so Ken, you have set us up for our next conversation on engagement and support. So thank you so much, everyone, for listening in to this conversation. You see what I did there? All right, take care.